Welcome back. You're still watching Signature Morning, and still, as we are aligning with the Igbo nation and the Igbo agenda, moving forward as a people. We have joining us in the studio this morning Emeka Siri, who is a legal practitioner, to discuss the way forward for the Igbo nation. You're welcome. Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. You're welcome.
Thank you. Good morning.
Now, when you look at where the Igbo nation stands today, what do you see? And, what do you see as, for the fundamental issues that are shaping the current trajectory?
The first thing is that the Igbo nation is like an unstructured body. People is like sheep without shepherd. Every person is on his own. Although we have organizations like the Apex Igbo organization we call Ohaneze Igbo, but Ohaneze Igbo appears not to be able to control the people, to be in power, to be in authority, in power and authority, having power and authority. So, if not, why is it difficult for the youths to be obedient to Ohaneze Igbo? So, the Igbo nation lacks that authority or organization to organize the people. So, who is listening to who? Okay, we have a phenomenon that happened recently, Nnamdi Kanu's phenomenon, for instance. Could you see how the youth followed him? Why? There was a vacuum. They were looking for leadership. The youth, they were looking for leadership, which the Ohaneze Igbo and other organizations could not provide. So the youth followed him. Even if you are complaining that he misled them, well, because there was a vacuum. So that's the problem. The Igbo nation is not yet properly structured to be able to hold the people together. We're like sheep without shepherd. That's the problem.
So what exactly are the biggest internal challenges currently hindering unity among the Igbo people, and how can it also be resolved?
Well, I have told you, it's like, you see, when a building is standing on a wrong foundation, there's nothing else you can do except to amend that foundation. Otherwise, it will still be having problems. So the foundation is the structure of Igbo nation. If we say Ohaneze Igbo is in charge, then they should be in charge. They have legitimacy, but they have no power. You see, authority and power are two different things. Now, let me give you an example. Power is ability, strength, stamina, energy to do things. That's power. But authority is the right to do that thing. You may see a young girl, maybe a traffic officer, for instance, police officer, traffic officer, police officer. She doesn't have power. She doesn't have energy, ability, strength. But when she raises her hand to stop a vehicle, the vehicle stops. Why? The girl is not strong to pursue, to chase you or wrong. But when she raises her hand to wave down a vehicle stops. Why? Because of the authority she has. Not physical strength, not power. Good. So authority is different from power. But there's power behind that little girl. That's the government power. So if you break the rule and run away, she can just copy your number, your plate number on your car, and text it to the authorities. And they'll stop you on the next checkpoint. Then they will not discipline you, either punish you, penalize you, or whatever. So there is power behind authority. Now, but if an armed robber has no authority, but because of the gun, he has power. He grabs power, and he can kill, but he has no right to kill. He can steal your things. He has no right to steal your things. Now, so authority is the right to do something. Power is the ability to do it. Now, Ohaneze Igbo has authority, but there's no power to enforce their rights, to enforce governance in Igbo land. So any person can do anything. So First, get it right. When you get it right, the unity comes. You now tell people what to do, and they will do it. When we talk about unity, somebody has to be in charge to say, do this, and they will follow you. So unity is very easy to achieve if we have a structure that can say, do this, and we do. And we have said that Ohaneze Igbo should be or is the apex Igbo organization. It should be, but it's not acting like that. What the youths are asking for is not what Ohaneze Igbo is talking about. So Ohaneze Igbo is not singing the song that the people want to hear. So that's why they believe that Ohaneze Igbo is not helping us and our politicians. I'm even talking about, I'm talking at the level, at the customary level, cultural level. I'm not even talking about Nigerian politics. Because Nigerian politicians, they have more allegiance, they pay more allegiance to their political parties, not to the people. You see, there are Igbo people, for instance, Igbo politicians, for instance. Do they have Igbo nation in their heart? Do they have Igbo interests at heart? No. They have affiliation or allegiance to their political party. They may say they are PDP, APC, LP, whatever name they call themselves. Okay, what about the Igbo interest? They don't care about Igbo interest. All they talk about is their political party interest. Otherwise, what the Igbo nation wants is clear. We have been hammering on it. What the Igbo nation wants is not hidden. We started from 1994 when it was created, what the Igbo nation wants, and they sent it to the National Assembly. So, but our politicians are not listening to us. So those politicians are useless to us. Sorry, I'm using that hard word, but let them hear it, because some of them are my friends. I met some of them at the Senate committee when I went to present the Igbo memorandum, what we want. Some of them saw me. Some of them are my classmates. Okay, why are they not pushing for it? Why can't they move the motion, pass the bill? They are not helping us. I don't want to call their names, but if they see my face, they will know I'm talking about. One of them is my classmate. In fact, that day, he even introduced me to some of his friends, his colleagues. See, this man is a very difficult man in my class. He was my classmate, and very, very difficult man, very, very radical, something like that. Yes, I am.
All right. Now, you've made mention of the Igbo nation being like a sheep without shepherd,
That's
having
correct.
no structure, and you said something that struck me, that Ohaneze is not singing what the people or the youths want to hear. So
Yes.
I want to ask you, what is it that the youths want to hear that Ohaneze is not saying, and why do we still not have a structure?
Fine. If you conduct a referendum now, or a vote within Igbo nation, so what do we want? Make a vote now, a kind of referendum among the Igbo people. So what do the Igbo people want? 99% will tell you they are tired of Nigeria as it is. As Nigeria is. We are tired of it. It's either we pull out entirely, or we govern ourselves within Nigeria and on our own. And that's what the elders, the previous Ohaneze Igbo, in the days of Honorable Justice Ezozobu, that was what they agreed. And they now sent the memorandum to National Assembly to restructure Nigeria, devolve powers to the regions, and every region govern yourself and be on your own if you don't want to break up Nigeria. Because when we talk about breaking up Nigeria, they say it's treasonable felony, right? Good. But it's not treasonable felony if you follow the due process. I'm a lawyer. I'm both Nigerian lawyer and British lawyer. The law says you can secede from a country, but there has to be a process for it. And if you use the Nigerian law I'm talking about, I'm not saying international law. Nigerian law says seceding from a country is allowed by Nigerian law, but there is a process for it. But if you use the process not prescribed by law, then you'll be arrested. But if you use the due process, you do it well. So the youth, Nigerian youth, not Biafran youth, Igbo youth, let me not use the word Biafra, because that would be more, it would be extending beyond Igbo territory. Let me say Igbo nation. they want to be free within Nigeria. Just as Scotland is free within Britain. England is free within Britain. Wales is free within Britain. Ireland is free within Britain. You know, yes, I'm British citizen, yes. I'm a solicitor of England and Wales, but I cannot even practice law in Scotland. Even though we're all British. But every autonomous ethnic group is on its own. And there's stability. Nobody is imposing himself on the others. That's what the Igbo people want. They say, okay, we are suffocating in Nigeria. How is it that our children go to school or take exam? My child scores 95%. A child in Zamfara scores 35%. They say, okay, because of quota system, my child will not get admission. And they will drop my child and put a child that scores 35%. In order to, they say, educationally disadvantaged region, they should give them chance to also catch up. So we are waiting for them to catch up while they are drawing us down, drawing us backwards. So is it not better we now go in your own region, govern yourself? If you want to put 35%, people who achieve 35%, make them your doctors. Fine. Let them be your doctors in your region. Those that have 10%, 20% that couldn't pass mathematics, and they want them to become their chief engineers, let them become chief engineers in your region. Every person be on your own and train your people the way you want. And then worship your God the way you want to worship God. In Quran chapter 9 verse 29 say that the Muslims have the right to kill Christians and Jews. It's written in their Quran chapter 9 verse 29. I'm quoting this so that you can go and check. So what you call atrocity, they don't call it atrocity. When they kill you in the name of Allah, they believe they are serving God. Good. So since we have different worldview, different philosophy of life, then stay on your own and worship God the way you want. So that's what we are advocating for, customary law to govern us, just like Sharia law is governing them.
So why don't we still have a structure? That structure that we're looking for.
Good. That's a very good question. Who will build this structure for us? For instance, I mentioned something now. The North decided to create a government for themselves called Sharia government. And the fact is that Sharia law and customary law, both of them are recognized by the Nigerian constitution. Customary law and Sharia law, both of them are recognized by Nigerian constitution. The Muslims, the Northerners, appear to be wiser. They now use the same Nigerian constitution that provided for Sharia law and used it to create Sharia government. If you go there and you see Sharia government territory, when you're going to the north, you get to a boundary where they say welcome to Sharia territory. They say, notice you are entering Sharia government territory. They put the notice there. Who made it happen? One governor, Zamfara state governor, started it and brought the bill to their House of Assembly to pass Sharia government bill into law. It was in the days of Obasanjo. People were saying, no, it's not possible. How can you create? But as a lawyer, I told them that they are correct what they are doing. Because what they are doing is constitutional. They are using Sharia law to build a structure for themselves and govern themselves according to their own religion. So what stops us from doing our own? Are they stopping us from passing our own bill here? But they don't want to pass our own politicians here in the House of Assembly. They don't want to pass our bill, customary government bill, to govern Igbo land. So we can call it customary government of Igbo land. Just like they have Sharia government in the north. We can have customary government of Igbo land. And we have it too. It's not that it's not yet structured, it's not yet statutory. We have Ndinche, don't we? Ndinche, which is similar to Hizbah, police under Sharia law, which is our own security. But our own Ndinche do not have the statutory power because they cannot be funded by the government because you have not passed their bill into law. But if you pass the bill of customary governance now for Igbo land, then The Indian Chego will now be funded by the governors, by the states that passed the bill. Just like Sharia government is being sponsored or funded by the states in the north. So there will be a structure now, and with that power, any person that misbehaves can be punished under the law, under the customary government law. Any person that misbehaves in Igbo land can be arrested and punished. And when there's that punishment, people become afraid. That's the power I'm talking about. Power. Ohaneze and Igbo can now exercise power, having got the authority. They now have power. But now there's no power. So our politicians are the problem. Let them be hearing what I'm saying. I don't know. I hope they hear it. Let them hear it. Let us have customary government bill passed in Igbo land.
Okay, let's look at the roles other people have to play in this particular situation. What role should traditional rulers as well as town unions play in strengthening peace and community security in the Igbo land?
Okay. Traditional rulers and community leaders, this customary government I'm talking about actually falls on their laps. Because we know every person right from our villages. In the community, I'm a traditional leader. So in my village, I know every person in the village. They come to my palace to resolve disputes. We call it, in law, it's called customary arbitration. So that was what our ancestors were doing before the coming of white men. We had no police and magistrate and all those things in those days. But we had our own government. That our customary government, we had it. Where has it gone to? Because that time we didn't have police or magistrates. But every dispute is resolved among us. We had in our Indians and also we know how to settle disputes. We still do it up to today. All we are saying is that it has not got statutory power to enforce it. Do you know that recently, when I went to my village recently, there was a complaint that they brought. I said, this thing, we have to punish the person. And I now remember the way we used to punish those people. You know, Igbo we say, the person, you make the person naked and parade the person around the market square. And singing some songs and to shame the person. So I said, okay, this woman, is that what she did? I think that's what I would recommend. They said, no, don't recommend that to make the woman naked and parade her around, to make her shame and to shame her. And we don't recommend that because things have changed. We don't even have the state law, state power now to do that. Things like that. That's exactly what I'm saying. We have to have power for the community leaders or traditional rulers to enforce some things and bring peace and sanity and punish those that should be punished. You see, if you don't punish all these children, these miscreants, you don't punish them, you are giving an open door for people to misbehave, to do anything they like. And don't be surprised that some of the youths may get tired of you, of the elders, and then take the laws into their hands. That's what happened in Aba in 1998. Because it was so bad that nobody could help Aba. But my clients who were shoemakers along that shoe line we call Bakassi line, they decided to do it by themselves. They took the laws into their hands and bought machetes that could cut heads. That's how we started. A particular afternoon in 1998. I was in my office when I started hearing noise. What happened? They said that the shoe line, Bakassi boys, have decided to cut heads. They bought sharp knives that could cut heads. They cut and people heads were rolling. That's the beginning of Bakassi boys, because there was a vacuum. So the boys took the laws into their hands.
So now, as we talk about the way forward for the Igbo nation, what then would you say is that way forward to improve Igbo and Igbo nation?
The first thing, like I said, is structure. Strengthening the structure by legislative engineering, using customary law. I said, take example from North. Let us take the example from North. They have done better. Yes, let's give credit to them. They were able to organize themselves. Now, let us borrow a leaf from them and pass customary government law, customary government bill into law, customary government bill, pass it into law, customary government of Igbo nation. That's a customary government of Igbo nation. Pass the bill into law, and then empower the traditional leaders, whether community leaders, traditional rulers, empower them. The law itself will specify the duties and what to do. And then there's a structure. If you want Ohanes and Igbo, for instance, to be the overall, then all the traditional rulers or community leaders, there will be a provision. In that law will specify everything, and there will be a proper structure. The Igbo will now be properly organized. You know, like an army, one voice, one word, one direction. But now we're all scattered. Every person doing his own things. That's not right. So that is the first thing. Let us have the structure. Okay. That's it.
All right, then. So let's look at the Igbos in diaspora. How can they also help to, and contribute more strategically to this particular development in the Southeast?
Those in the diaspora, the much they can do for us is financing us, because we are in the battlefield. They are there. If they can stop sending false propaganda, because most things, the damage we had in Igbo land mostly occurred because those in the diaspora, we are sending money that destabilize Igbo land. They were sponsoring, that is, these boys that took guns and started killing Igbo people for not believing in their method. So if they will stop and then channel their resources to a proper avenue, send it to the proper channel. But the issue now is which one shall they now say is proper channel, since there's no structure yet? Because most of them don't even believe in Ohanes and Igbo. They don't believe in Ohanes and Igbo. They say Ohanes and Igbo is compromised. So if I tell you now, okay, those in the diaspora start sending money to Ohanes and Igbo, they'll say, which Ohanes and Igbo? Which one? Because Ohanes and Igbo has not commanded respect. But if Ohanes and Igbo is structured now to command respect, people look at Igbo land. If all Igbo people pay only one pound, sending just £1 to Ohanes and Igbo, just £1. Do you know how much we raise every day, every month? If we say Igbo people all over the world just pay £1, just £1 into Ohanes and Igbo coffers, do you know we raise millions every day to do whatever we want to do in Igbo land? But the Ohanes and Igbo is not structured in such a way that it can command respect. That is the main thing. So yes, they will finance us if we are properly organized. That is the only thing we need. I'm not expecting them to come here and start facing the bullet with us. We are in a dangerous zone. In fact, when I decided to relocate to Igbo land, people say, "What are you trying to do? A British citizen enjoying in London. You want to go into the battlefield? Wouldn't they kill you? Wouldn't they kidnap you? Wouldn't they do this? What about the unknown gunmen? Sit at home." I said, well, you want to kidnap me? By the time you come to kidnap me, I will kidnap you by myself.
Okay, just before we go, this agitation for Biafra is something that has been going on, particularly among the youth. So how would you say that this has affected the Igbo nation moving forward, and how can that situation be addressed?
Sometimes I blame myself. You know why? I'm the founder of IPOB. Sometimes I blame myself. But I said, well, I wouldn't blame myself. I can't do everything. Nnamdi came from Masob and joined us and showed skill in broadcasting, media work. And I'm not a media person, and I can't do everything. Every person must do whatever he is capable of doing, talented to do. I'm not a media person. So we gave him that. I made him director of Radio Biafra. And he used it now and started all the propaganda, all the noise, all the thing that eventually became what it became. And even though we excommunicated him on 12th of May 2014, signed by Honorable Justice Ezozobu, the former Chief Judge of Enugu State, and Dr. Dozie Ikenganewi, they signed it and excommunicated him. But it was too late. He carried the black bag microphone. It was a mobile device, laptop. Anywhere he could stay anywhere and broadcast. And the people were listening to him. And the scriptures, there's a spiritual principle. My sheep hear my voice and follow me. So it is the voice they hear that they follow. And Ohanes Ndigbo does not have a radio station. When I was telling the then President General of Ohanes Ndigbo, so let Ohanes Ndigbo have a media of its own. Invest in media. Ohanes Ndigbo does not have their own media up to today. So, then the Biafran confusion started. By the time you knew it, it went out of hand. And since Nnamdi said he didn't like my own method, because we are the ones who went to court, we are still in court with Nigeria over this issue. He said he didn't like the legal method. Fine. His own is you destroy the zoo and get in Biafra immediately. Okay. We now started watching. And that is the narrative the people carried. And that was what has caused the confusion now.
Okay, Barrister Emeka, thank you for joining us this morning.
Oh, it's over.
I know the last time you had said we will not invite you again,
but we've invited you now.
You are wonderful people. I thought you will not invite me again.
Of course we will.
We will still invite you again.
Thank you for joining us this morning, Barrister Emeka.
Emeka
series.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us. And of course, the conversation it has not ended here. Obviously, we are going to convey again to talk about the way forward for the Igbo nations in times like this. Of course, Barrister Emeka is a legal practitioner. That's where we draw the curtains for Signature Morning in Enugu. We'll have to connect to Abuja to continue Signature Morning. I am Quincy Roland.
I am Uchenna Chimdi Oluoha.